Hi, I'm Sarah from The Upcoming. A real pleasure to be able to speak to you today. Maybe you could begin with a brief introduction to this incredible film, Allelujah. What can people expect when they watch it?
Oh, they can expect a lot of different things: tears, excitement, joy, some comedy, a lot of comedy, but also quite a uh, really important storyline about our NHS and about what's happening, and unfortunately the constraints and strains that are put upon it. And how we, especially with the elderly generation, what it looks like for them. And yeah, it kind of begs the question for me personally, what are we going to do about it, and what's it going to look like when I'm going to need it, or younger generations are going to need it.
And of course, it started life as a play, and has now been transformed into a film. Where did you first hear of the story? Were you aware of the play? And what was the appeal for you when you first read that script?
I did know it was a play, and unfortunately, I was working on another play, so I wasn't able to see it. It was always going on at the same time, and I was auditioning, and all I had was Allelujah, Alan Bennett, and Sir Richard Eyre, and that was it. And then at the sides, a couple of the scenes, that one was with Judi Dench, one was with Russell Tovey, and one was with Derek Jacobi, and I didn't know it was them at that time. It was just characters. And so I had about a week and sent it off, got the script, got the full script over to me, and Richard rang me up and said, congratulations, we want you to play the part. Do you know who else is in this? And I said, no, I haven't got a clue. And he just went through the list. He just went like, Jennifer Saunders, Judi Dench, Jacobi, Russell Tovey. I went, and he just kept going. And it was literally white noise after Judi Dench, to be honest. I was like, oh my God, Judi's in this. And so we went from there. We did a lot of rehearsals, which is quite rare for a film. So I got to do a lot of table reads with everyone. So we didn't get on set and I'm just like plunged straight into it. It was an incredible experience with those people.
And in terms of the preparation, I guess, you've got the script and getting into the character and the story, but then there's also maybe the sort of practical side of taking on the role of a doctor in kind of a very authentic way. So what might that involve? Did you manage to go and spend some time on any wards, or did you have any friends or family that you could kind of, go to sort of dip into their knowledge?
Yeah, I had my sister worked at the Royal Free, more on the science side rather than the medical side. But I had a lot of contacts through her. I had a lot of talks with various doctors from all different sides of the sector. And then unfortunately it was COVID at the time, so me going into hospitals was a little difficult. But there was a lot of resources online. Actually, there's a lot of groups and people that are making videos on YouTube about how to, the application, because my character's from India, and how that process looks like for people who are coming from India and wanting to be doctors, nurses, medical professionals in this country. And so it was a lot of that, and then all of that knowledge that you do ends up kind of going out the window when you go in there, because a lot of the had a bit of I would say, like, the medical jargon, but actually it was more about the human relationships between my character and all of the other patients that were in there, whether that was Judy's character, Mary, or Derek Jacobi's character. So it ended up being more about listening and responding to what I was hearing rather than the medical applications of it. But we did have an on-site doctor who, if I needed to administrate anything or do anything, they were there. So I always felt like I didn't feel like I was just like thrown to the wolves with any of that stuff.
And the accent, was that any sort of effort, or did that take a bit of practice, or you had to pin it when you were off set as well?
I was petrified, to be honest, about the accent. My mum and my family came to a screening in London, And that was the first thing. I didn't even ask about the acting when I went over to them. I said, accent, good, everyone good? Yep, we're all good. Okay, great. Subsequently doing these interviews with people from South Asian background, they go, the accent, we just thought you were from it. I was like, that's the biggest compliment you could get. I did work pretty solidly on that. And when we were on set, actually, I think I went to do a rehearsal. We were just doing a rehearsal for the cameras and everything, and I didn't have the costume on as well, and I just did it in my English accent. You know, there's about week 3, week 4. I was like, I'm just going to do it in my English accent. And Rich came over to me and he said, "You're not going to do it like that, are you?" And I said, "No, I'm not going to do it like that. That's just okay." And then I came back and I got into the costume. I did it. They were, "Oh, thank God." Just reassuring. I think it's like it's a warm blanket when you do it in a certain way. But I did sometimes want to. I felt like you kind of want to stay in an accent, particularly me and Jennifer Saunders, particularly because we were doing accents that were very different than our own, and probably worried about it a little bit more.
Mm. And like you were saying, kind of, this cast list is sort of anyone's dream. It's a bit of a who's who of, British thespians going back. But it was great. I guess you had like quite a lot of prep time. But, were there any moments where you were very starstruck? And what was it like kind of being on set with them? I guess after a certain time, you sort of forget maybe that their status in the acting world, and you're just working alongside a colleague.
You know what? You've said it. You hit the nail on the head really with it. I think at the beginning I was, it was just constantly because you'd get the call sheet and you'd have every scene was like a two-hander. So you got the day would be like, well, there's a two-hander between you and Judy, then two-hander between you and Jennifer, then a two-hander between you and Russell. So it ended up being a lot of two-handers and quite, I was quite nervous. Especially because this is my first feature film as well. So you got all that. You kind of want it to be amazing. You want it to be incredible for yourself and to bring all of what you can do to the part. And then you kind of don't want to let anyone down, yourself down, the other people down as well. So you have all of that. But I think I had a real serious conversation with myself about week 2, 3, and said, right, you're gonna have to enjoy it now. You're gonna have to really enjoy this and not get as too nervous. But everyone on that set made it so comfortable. Everyone was so warm and generous and really, really present, and never ever made me feel like it was anything other than that. I think, and also I think because a lot of them came from theatre and I come from theatre as well, it felt very collaborative. It was a very ensemble piece as well. So that also helped, and that we had a lot of rehearsal time, thanks to Richard, kind of enabling all of that.
Mm. And I think, like a lot of the best sort of British dramas, there's, a lot of tragedy and there's sort of, that kind of, quite like a sad kind of thread running through it, thinking of, the pressure on the NHS and elderly people and having to say goodbye to people. But there's always, moments of humor, and that balance, it seems really crucial. So was that something that was very important, and always bringing that out when whoever you were acting alongside, to bring out those two sides of things?
Yeah. Alan Bennett and Heidi Thomas, who adapted it for TV and film, just incredible, beautiful balance of when it has to be serious and poignant and marked. It was incredible. And then the juxtaposition of other characters being very funny. I remember we did an interview, sort of backstage sort of interview for the release of it, and they said, "Oh, it's a dark comedy," and I said, I don't think so. I think it's really serious. But then I only realized that the bits that I was filming were, it's like me and Jen, with Jen's got a bit more of the humor of it, but we're the sort of the backbone of the story, of the telling of maybe the more political sides of it as well, about underfunding, undercuts, lack of beds, lack of resources. And so I think it's, when I watched it in its entirety, obviously you read the script and oh, that's funny, but I didn't realize how funny and comedic it actually was until you watch it with everyone's components in it, with the other actors in it. But it's just a beautiful blend of everything, and I think that's Alan Bennett, to be honest. It's something that's really very political and very something that needs to be spoken about, mixed in with his very, very, very charming wit.
And for you, in terms of scenes you had to do, did you have a most challenging moment, or on the other side of it, a real highlight?
Just working with Judy was an incredible experience. You know, I've seen a lot of her stuff, watched a lot of it, and then getting to work with her, especially in the scenes that we had a lot of different scenes. We had a lot of heartfelt scenes, some funny scenes. I had a lot of variety with her, and then getting to know her and be a friend of hers has just been incredible. And just her warmth and her generosity and her being so down to earth really helped. There was a part of it where we were doing the scenes in the film, and the character is kind of learning from her, learning about experiences and life, and really listening to her. And then it's like art imitating life, because as soon as we say cut, I'm doing the same. We're doing the exact same thing. I mean, you could stick the camera and we could carry on. You know what I mean? There's nothing but difference between the characters and ourselves, which is really incredible. So yeah.
Did you take anything specific away? I don't know if you were sort of like asking directly for tips or anything, but I guess just, you know, the decades of experience in that room, it must have felt, you know, in some ways like a masterclass.
Yeah, it's just stories. You know, you want to hear the back in the day of some of the stuff. We both went to the RSC for long periods of time, Royal Shakespeare Company, and so, you know, Judy would be, you know, kind of doing this. She was doing something we did Romeo and Juliet, and she was doing some lines from Juliet, and then she went, and it's your turn, and I went, oh yeah, I forgot. Yeah, so just beautiful moments of kind of connection that, you know, we're two different generations, you know, but we're very, very, you know, similar. We have a very similar sort of understanding of something artistically that we both can kind of go to, which is a great source of connection, which I didn't think we were going to, you know, getting to do Shakespeare with Judi Dench is a lot of actors' dream, to be honest. So yeah, a lot of it, it's so hard to quantify what exactly I love, but from everyone, whether that was Jennifer, whether that was Russell, Derek, or yeah. So it was just an incredible experience. It's a lot. I still think about it every single day. I go, yeah, it's a lot to take in.
I'm almost out of time, but you know, very quickly coming to, you know, the key themes, which I know we've touched on already, and the takeaways, you know, and like we said, like, you know, the best British dramas, it draws you into these characters, draws you into its story, but, you know, there are some, you know, clear political messages there that seem to be even more pertinent rather as time goes on, you know, thinking about how important our NHS is, thinking about the pressure on the people that work for it, and that it seems like that's only increasing, even though the pandemic's, you know, hopefully kind of fading now. All those issues still remain, and I don't want to give any spoilers, but there is a bit of a twist, which I think kind of just maybe just adds that extra edge to really make people think about what's brought up in the film.
Yeah. I think that's something that we was added actually from the play. The play was done in 2017, and when we were making this film, it was 2021. So kind of just coming out of the pandemics, and I think that was something that even when filming that was quite. You know, they had everyone in set up, all the essays, extras, they were all set up, and it even took me by surprise and shock about what the applications, and we had doctors on there that went through that experience, and what they were describing was something that I can't even imagine how that must have felt. But yeah, it's something that this film is you know, we're seeing it now with junior doctors, we're seeing it now, but it was always there. It's not like we you know, we filmed this about 2 years ago and now it's just been released now, so it's always been there. And all I would hope is that, especially in terms of the human connection, if you have an elderly parent, it made me think about this. My grandma, go and ring your grandparents, and because nothing is ever given and nothing is ever you know, taken in life. You have to, you know, grab hold of your loved ones and tell them that you love them. Is probably my message throughout the whole of this film.
And in terms of, obviously, you're saying done this 2 years ago now, what have you been working on since, and what have you got coming up that we can see you in next?
You know what? You can never say. I'm never allowed to say what I'm working on. I'm always held by contracts, isn't it? I love the question though. I do love the question. I'm working on 2 projects at the moment that you'll see on streaming sites, and one that we just filmed that'll be on Disney at some point. But I'm not like I actually don't know when that is. But you'll see me around. I'm around.
And so you've already worked with a whole bunch of sort of icons, but in terms of your bucket list of maybe other directors or actors you want to work with, or a genre you want to try, do you have anything, your sights set on anything particular?
All of them. I mean, even Judy, Judy put in my name in the hat for the James Bond. So, you hold tight for that. I mean, we could do that. We could do all of it. So yeah, and everyone. No, I can't pick out anyone specific because then they'll all get upset. So I can't say.
James Bond, not a bad one to aim for, though.
Why not? Do it, you cowards, do it.
Well, thank you so much for sharing all that with me. Can't wait for everyone else to have the chance to see Allelujah. I think it's coming out on home release in the next few weeks. So thanks a lot.
No, thank you, Sarah. Thank you very much.
All right, chat to you. Bye.